Hey Dathan, is this Stan's Zoom?
Hey, what's going on, man? I think so.
Okay,
Is this?
good.
Yeah, I used the meeting ID on this, so I'm literally on the phone right now with Janine. I'm like, it's only me in here, so I hope this is the right one.
Okay,
So you're
cool.
good, man. How's Vegas right now?
It's going all right. We have another meetup tomorrow. I think it might be a multi-family meetup.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yes, that's cool.
All right. Well, I'm gonna finish up this call with. Oh, go ahead, Janine. I'm sorry.
I cool.
Rundle, do you know any fixers out there in North Las Vegas?
Like GCs?
No, like flippers out there.
Yes, I know one flipper that is looking to do a lot more flips this year. I can forward his info to you.
Yeah, that would be great. I do have one that someone sent me too, and I remember that you're in Vegas, so.
Yeah, his name is Boris, so I can forward that to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem.
Sweet. I love it. Getting deals done.
All about networking. I
Yes.
I freaking love the community because it's so easy to connect with people and like they're so willing to help.
Absolutely. Which funny story on that one. I'll tell you in a minute. I got it. I'm trying to hurry up and finish. My wife wants me to hurry up and grind out like the order for everybody, or at least mine. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to focus on getting this Domino's pizza order.
So I sent the contact to you, Dathan, since I don't have, what's her name? Janaya?
Jania.
Jenny. I don't have her contact. So I sent it to you and you can forward it.
Okay, perfect. And then Jania, you're cool if I send you or send him your contact info so he has yours, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. I'll send you hers back to you, okay?
All right, cool.
Oh. Hey, Rambo, I sent Jania's info to you on your phone. I just want to make sure that you received it.
I got it.
Sweet.
How is everybody today?
Doing good. And you?
Doing good, doing well.
Hey, how's it going, Mason?
What's going on, man? You doing all right?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Are you a part of Step 2 as well?
No, I'm not part of step 2.
Okay. No worries. Where you out at?
I am. I guess you could, if you want to put a label on me, I'm a TTP student. So I'm in Texas. Yeah,
No judgment. Look, we all trying to grow and learn. It's all good. Don't matter.
for sure, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here in Texas.
Okay, what
About 3
part?
hours. I'm in Central Texas, so I'm like 3 hours between Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio.
I know
So
Central
that's
Texas.
all.
What part?
You know what?
I know Central Texas. What part of Central Texas?
San Angelo, Texas.
Okay. I was in
Yeah, that's
Killeen
about
not
right.
too long ago.
Nice. Okay, cool, man. I
You
haven't
doing
been to
any
Killeen in a
investing?
good minute. Any
Are you
what?
investing there?
I can't hear you say it again.
Are you doing any investing there?
Any events?
Investing?
Investing? No. I know I just have I mean, this is for multifamily, so I haven't had any multifamily connections up there yet. But as far as single family, yeah, there's some buyers there.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm retiring from the military, so that's why I was in Killeen. And now looking back at it, I think I am going to try to start getting some properties over there. There's a lot of single families if you can get into them. With Fort Hood kind of growing over there, there's a lot of rental possibility there. Or if you're trying to just buy and flip, there's a lot of sub two options there, because a lot of the soldiers, they'll be there for 2 to 3 years. They'll buy, they have to move, they have very little equity. And so coming in and taking up a VA loan on sub two is a possibility there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I heard that's pretty popular.
Yeah.
What's up, Stan?
What up? You guys all
Hey,
hear me?
Yeah, did you get my message on? I sent you a DM on something. If we don't have nothing to underwrite, it's a lead here in San Antonio. It's on market. I know that's not our favorite, but just to kind of heads up if we want to underwrite something later.
Okay. I didn't get it. Where did you send it through?
Facebook Messenger. I can send it to you in email. I think I have your email.
Yeah, send it
too.
through my email real quick.
Okay.
I didn't
Sure
check
you will.
my Facebook.
No problem.
Yeah. Thanks for holding it down, guys. Sorry for late. Having
What's
technical
up,
difficulties
Stan?
as usual. What's up? What's up? What up,
Haven't
Larry?
seen
Where
you.
you at now in the world? Are you in Florida?
No, I'm still in New Philadelphia for another
You
month at
traveled all the way
least.
to Philadelphia?
New Philadelphia, Ohio.
Oh,
with
New
Josh
Philadelphia.
eating.
Oh, gotcha.
I
I haven't seen Jeff in a while. Where is that guy?
Josh, he's been busy.
Or Josh, I meant.
Yeah, he's been working on his triplex and his duplexes, and he does the agent outreach.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. Let me get Carlos to give me permission for host, because I can't share my screen with you guys.
Hey Stan, was I supposed to email you my underwriting stuff as well, or how did you want to do that?
Yeah. Do you guys have my email address?
Let me check if I have it.
I'll put it in the chat room. How's everybody's Friday going? Anybody got anything exciting? Any new deals you guys are looking to close soon?
I got 71 units in Florida. You might be open to. It's 22 million. The NOI is 1.4.
Nice. What part of Florida?
Central Florida. I think it's Tampa or somewhere over there. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
I'm on walking.
What's the cap rate going in?
Good question. I didn't see it. I kind of got
worries.
it before I left the house.
Gotcha. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything exciting going on this weekend?
Hey, what's going on, Stan? My name's Dathan.
What up, Dathan?
Hey, yeah, I'm working, my partner and I are working a sub 2 deal right now in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Larry, I'm up in Akron as well, so let's definitely link up if you're in the area for a while. But yeah, we're working a sub 2 deal, and then there's this portfolio package. It's about 6 units or 6 properties, but 2 of the properties are duplexes. That's actually why I'm on here, because for me, it's something I've never done as far as in figuring out the underwriting on this one, see if it makes sense. So love to get some help on this one to see if it would make sense to get into.
I got a portfolio package in Canton. He's open to terms, owner financing, but it's really hard to find the buyers in Canton,
Canton and Akron. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sticking to the 3 C's is probably the best bet if you're trying to do anything, I think, from an end buyer perspective in Ohio. So Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland are probably your big hot spots.
Yeah, I was looking there because that's Josh. It's closer for him to drive to. He doesn't like driving to Cleveland, even though there's more opportunities in Cleveland. But kind of I'm trying to help him out because he's been helping me out with free rent for the last month and a half. So I use Privy and call the agents, and I think he's got like 3 or 4 more properties that he wants to get rid of besides the one that I was talking. He's open to seller financing and all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, take my number down because if I get cut off, I'm walking out here. 702-675-1317. Shoot me a text.
Getting it right now.
Yeah, because I want to talk to you about that Fort Hood stuff because Texas is where I want to end up being.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, here we go, guys. Finally got access. Thanks for being patient. So we got some new people in here as well. Nathan, are you part of Sub 2 as well?
Yep. I've been
Nice.
in Sub 2 for about 2 months now. 2 months.
Awesome. Welcome.
Still
And
a very, very baby investor. Still growing, still learning.
every day is learning, bro. Real estate is like nonstop information. You can't learn everything.
Yeah.
It's like
I was just
always
telling
something new.
I was at my local RIA yesterday, and I was telling a young lady who she works at a title company, but she was saying, I'm trying to get in investing. I'm like, you don't really try. You just, if anything, you can say I'm practicing investing, because to me, you are lifelong learning with investing. So no different than like a doctor or a lawyer. You practice investing because you're constantly learning.
Yep, 100%. Are you a residential agent, or are you commercial, or are you doing both?
Residential agent.
Gotcha. Nice. Thanks for sharing with that. Sarah, you're brand new. Haven't seen you here before. Welcome. What part of California from?
Thank you. I'm currently in SoCal, but I'm do a lot of business up in the NorCal.
Okay. And you've been on the residential side or commercial?
Residential.
Okay. Nice. So you guys are all here to learn how to underwrite multifamily. So I'm a commercial agent here in Las Vegas. I do residential as well, but I primarily focus on commercial side. Today we just obviously every Friday at 3 p.m. I always teach underwriting class, very basic. That way you guys can learn how to go about underwriting a deal. All right. And what you're seeing in front of you, I shared the screen, so you guys should be able to see the template for underwriting. Everybody should have a copy. If not, check on the side chat. I put the link in there. You guys should be able to make a copy for yourself. Just go to file, make a copy, and then download it. Save this link moving forward, because I always update this spreadsheet from time to time. So just put this link somewhere in a place where you guys can always come back to it. That way you don't have to keep asking me for the link and downloading it. You'll know when it's uploaded, when it's brand new, when I change the date. So I always just put some new stuff in here, add some new tabs. All right. We got my friends from Hawaii. What's up, Kala? I and his wife. How are you? How are you guys?
Hi. How are you?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
What else we got in here? Of course. And we got Charisse, brand new. What's up, Charisse?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Where are you from?
I'm from the Bay Area. Yeah.
Oh, we got a lot of California.
But I live in Ventura.
Okay. Very nice. Yandi, you've been here before, right?
Yonetti, yes, I have.
Yonetti.
I'm with Powerhouse.
Nice. Sorry, I butchered your name. And then we got Yenlik. What up, Yenlik? Dorian Dudley's back. Roger Bremer's back.
Yes.
Daniel, are you brand new here, you know?
I am. Yeah, I'm from LA. I'm a
okay,
sub.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
with Sub 2?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So we got Sub 2, we got TTP, we got Powerhouse. So we got a lot of mentorship people inside here. So it's awesome. And then we got Daryl Griffin. You're brand new, right? I haven't seen you before.
No, I've been here before. It's just been
oh, you have? Nice. Welcome back. Welcome back. And then we also got Mason. All right, let's get this started. Yep, it's 3:18. All right, so let's go over this real quick. Like I mentioned, this spreadsheet, if you guys are just entering and you guys don't have a copy, I'm going to paste it again once on the right. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Copy link. Here we go. That's the spreadsheet. Make a copy, put that link somewhere in your notes, save it on the side. And then I'm going to add some links for the resources, and then also the 7 terms you need to know in commercial. This way you guys have a proper conversation whenever you guys are talking to brokers, and it's just key term, like words that we often use in the commercial business. So there's that copy. Make a copy for yourselves. Here's the resource sheet. I always start off with getting this out of the way. That way you guys all have a copy. I know for the ones that haven't been here before, you guys make a copy for yourself. Go. All right, so with this resource, I always start off as well. The 2 websites you guys want to create your free account on is Crexi and LoopNet. This is where you'll find all your commercial assets where you can buy, lease, and find your next deal. RealNext is a subscription-based CoStar as well as 10X. If you really want, if you're at that point where you have income coming in and you guys want to spend a lot more, well, more money on data, the best is CoStar. They have the best data throughout all the commercial applications that I've been using. They'll find owners for you. It already has ownership and who's controlling that specific deal. But it's also a site where brokers advertise and you won't really necessarily see it on LoopNet or Crexi. Most deals happen off market between brokers and brokers. So if you want to get on their good list, create relationships with them, because that's when you're going to get like your pocket listings. Okay. Apartments.com for rent.com, apartmentfinder.com, and also Rentometer. I'm surprised I haven't even added that before. Rentometer is a great place to find rental comps for properties. Okay. Rentometer is probably one of the better ones that I've used in the past. Oh, it is. It's right here. They have deals that you can use. I believe these promo codes are still active till today. But you can find deals. I mean, you can find rental comps for those specific unit mixes whenever you're trying to get information within the surrounding radius of your subject property. Okay. And then you guys can just dabble with all these other websites that I've listed below for your guys' resources. Alrighty. So let's just go over who has a deal today that we can take a look at. Was it Mason and Rendell? Have you guys sent
emailed it to you.
You emailed it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me, before we start off, do you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask me before we get full into this spreadsheet? That way you guys can get those out of the way and I can answer something.
Yeah,
what does, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, I got a lead, or I don't know if it's a lead, but the person I'm in contact with said they are direct to broker. That doesn't necessarily mean it's on the MLS, right? Or that it's listed. It's just they have some type of relationship with the broker, with the sellers, and that's like their gatekeeper, right? It doesn't necessarily mean.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Direct to brokers, you just have access conversation with them. But I mean, the best way to find out if the deal is online or not, just type in the address. Trust me, even we do it every single day. Yeah, okay, well, that makes sense sometimes. And what I do to reverse engineer, because obviously some wholesalers don't want to give address, so you got to be a little bit resourceful. And what I typically do is, let's say, I'm going to use Vegas because I live here. If I know that it's in Vegas, I'll just type in the state or the city. And then if I know how many units there are, I'll just type in the apartment count, the unit count. So if let's say it's 20 units, I'll put in 20 units, Las Vegas. And that sometimes I've found some deals like that where I found the address that way. right? You just got to kind of think outside the box and then just kind of find photos, reverse photos that way too. But you can find the location and the address that way.
Gotcha. Good tips there. He did mention that he would like give me the address if I signed an NDA, which I was not really privy to right now. So, and then proof of funds. He wanted proof of funds too, to even give the address. So, just a heads up. It doesn't give. I didn't give you an address because he didn't give me one. So,
yeah, no worries. So that's typical broker practice. If you don't sound confident on the phone, they typically ask you for proof of funds, and they usually always have you sign an NDA because they don't want it spreading around. What I've come to learn is you have to be careful signing NDAs. You got to read through them because sometimes some of these wholesalers get a little sneaky. Not the brokers, because brokers always just put 1 year usually on their NDAs, but some of the wholesalers will be sneaky about it and put like 3, 5, 7, 10 years. So you got to read through those NDAs. Sometimes it doesn't really matter if it's like somewhere out of your state, but that's what I've come to find out on some of these NDAs. So just kind of read through them. All right.
Got it.
And then obviously proof of funds, that's typical. That's a way for us to kind of screen who's serious and who's not when it comes to any inquiries. I do that with my tenants as well. If someone's trying to ask me for have them go out and get some tenant reps, I always ask for proof of funds. And if they don't show me, obviously they're not as serious, right? I've dealt with a lot of window shoppers basically so far. But that's just a way to navigate that side of the business. Good question. Anybody else right now want to ask something? Okay. So we'll start off here because I always start off with the MF valuation. Let's start off here. I'm going to move the spreadsheet over. Reverse valuation. This is step 1. Okay. Step 1, reason being is because when you get a lot of deals come in, the best way to navigate through a lot of those OMs and a lot of the financials is get your napkin underwriting in front. All right. The best way to do that is plugging in the numbers in the spreadsheet. Everything in the blue is manual inputs. Everything in the black and the red, they're dynamic outputs. So do not change the black and the red. Only change the blue. Okay. This is the best way you can do underwriting. You can do it in the back of the napkin, piece of paper. All right. And how to start off with this is you always want to know what your market cap rate is. Right, every cap rate or every sub-market has their own market cap rate, meaning on the sell side. So we're always going to assume that we're going to be reselling at that market cap rate for the next buyer. Okay, so every Class C building, I always put 7.5%. If it's a Class B, you can probably get away with a 6.5. If it's a Class A, they kind of go between 4 and a 5.5. Okay, so that's typically how market cap rate is kind of determined. You're always assuming that it's on on the exit. Okay, so if we start off at 7.5, market vacancy, you always want to account for 5%. You never want to underwrite a deal at 100% occupancy, meaning if we leave this at 0, that's 100%, right? Current occupancy, it changes. So you always want to make margins for 5% vacancy because if we have 100 units, all right, and we want to test that market out, how are you going to test it if your full occupancy is at 100%? All right, so if we have 95 doors and we're at $1,000 in as is rent, we want to test out if the market's willing to give us 1,100, we can do that, right? Until we have, until we increase to, let's say, 1,500, now you have options to, to test out whether or not the market in that radius is giving you that kind of income. And so that's how you kind of underwrite these deals. And you always want to be conservative when underwriting. You never want to be aggressive, but you can have options to do so if you decide. Whenever I underwrite, I always underwrite very conservatively because you have room for growth, but you also have room for mistakes in case something was to happen and you don't get close to those numbers. So you always want to have a cushion. Other income per unit. Other income is basically like your storage fees, if you're going to have any, if you have any late fees that you charge, right? Laundry room, pet rentals, like those are income that we consider as other income. Okay, pro forma, you're going to hear that a lot. Pro forma is just a future projection of what rents could be at future value, right? You're going to hear as is, you're going to hear in place or currents, like those are all the same. When you hear pro forma, it just means future value of rents projected. Okay, CapEx CapEx is short for capital expenditure budget per unit. There's a big difference between CapEx and operating expenses. A lot of people think it's the same, and it's actually not. CapEx, capital expenditures, is basically like your rehab, and you're doing it one time, or you're paying for roof repairs once you acquire the building. Like those are like your CapEx budget, the one time you're gonna do the repairs throughout that whole entire year, versus expenses that are like marketing, admin costs, contract services that you get on like a monthly basis. Those are expenses. Okay, so you guys got to know that that's a big difference. And the number of units, very straightforward. And then expense ratio, obviously the expense ratio of what you're going to take out from your potential rental income. And I always underwrite my napkin underwriting at 50%. You can be flexible and say between 40 and 50, but I always just like to start off at 50% when acquiring a property. Okay. So with that being said, if we change this to 6.5, right here in stabilized value, it changes, right? So at 7.5, it's worth 1.9 million. If we do 6.5, that changes the stabilized value to 2.19. So if you're probably asking yourself, why does that happen? Well, every time you go lower in a cap rate, that means the property is being stabilized lower, right? So the whole entire goal, if you're going into a value add property for, let's say, a Class C, is you want to go in a going cap rate at a higher cap rate, and then you're working your way down to stabilize the property to resell it at a lower cap rate. And that's how it's determined on your future stabilized value, is by taking your net operating income, you divide it by the cap rate, you're going to get your stabilized value. So if we go right here on column E, we're going to start off at column E2. The gross potential rent, if I double click this, you can see where it's highlighted in purple and orange. It's taking the number of units multiplied by the pro forma rents of B6 and then multiplied by 12, because 12 months in a year, right? You're getting your annual income of $300,000 at $1,000 pro forma for 25 units. Okay, less vacancy at that 5% is basically just taking the gross potential income.
Sorry.
Minus, go ahead.
Could you repeat the formula for the gross potential rent income?
The gross potential rent income, just double click on that cell. It's right here, right? It's number of units multiplied by your market rents multiplied by 12 months. We'll go over that. I have a cheat sheet on the bottom of the tabs where it has all of it written down. So if you want the formulas, it'll be in there. Or you could just double click on the cells and it'll trace back to where the formulas are coming from. Yeah, you're welcome. So 300,000 minus, so less vacancy at that 15,000. If we're taking the GPR, which is short for gross potential rent, if we take the GPR, take the market vacancy of 5%, right? You're gonna get 15,000. We're not including any income, other income, it's zero. And then what we call EGI, short for effective gross rent, is by taking the gross potential rent and minus the 15,000 in vacancy, we're gonna get $285,000, okay? And this is where the importance of expense ratio comes from, because we're removing 5% of expense, 50% of the expenses out the door from the start. right? So if we take the 285, we take out 50% expense ratio, now you're coming back with 145,500, right? EGI multiplied by 50% equals this. Now we have a net operating income of 142,500, okay? And then remember, we have a total rehab cost of 250 because we're taking $10,000 that we're budgeting for CapEx multiplied by 25 units, and we're getting 250,000. You're always going to hear GCs whenever you hire one. You're going to hear them basically give you a rough estimate per unit. You're going to hear anywhere between 5,000, 7,500, 10,000, 12.5 to 15,000, even sometimes more, depending on how bad or how much value add you're trying to adjust for when you're doing any type of rehab. That's just interiors. Remember, there's exterior cost as well. So obviously taking that, you have to take that into account. So with that being said, if we go back to 7.5% market cap rate, our stabilized value for this property at future rents should be valued at $1.9 million. In commercial, stabilized value is what is the terminology that we say that's comparable to what's called after repair value or ARV. And you guys have heard after repair value many times before. In commercial, it's just called stabilized value, okay? So right here to the left, there's 3 exits. You always want to keep in mind what the exit is for your next buyer, right? What are you planning on wholesaling this property? Are you planning on keeping it for a value add? Is it already stabilized or partially stabilized? And is that the next goal? Is it to buy and hold, right? Stabilized basically means like a buy and hold, and you're going to exit in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years. Okay. So how do we come about that, right? If I'm trying to do a value add for this property right now with the market cycle, we're in a buyer's market, right? We want to try to get as much of a discount as possible. If I know that the property is valued at 1.9 million, and let's say for multifamily, let's start off at 85%, right? You have to test, every market is the same like how residential is. Every market has a different type of formula. In Vegas, for let's say, I'm going to give you guys an example. For a single family home for someone to fix and flip, our ARV times is 70% of the ARV right now. Between 60 and 70% is what investors are paying for. In the multifamily space, it kind of works a little bit similar, but right now what's happening is the sellers are not aligned with the buyers, meaning the interest rates are at like about 7% plus, right? Sellers are selling at 5 cap, 6 cap, 6.5. They're not matching up with the interest rates. So if the interest rates are at 7, but the seller's trying to sell at a 6 cap, you're pretty much under by 1%. So it's not really matching up, if that makes sense, to a lot of the buyers. So they're not, we're kind of at a stalemate right now. Okay. So going back to this, if you take the 1.9 million, you multiply it by 85%, okay, you're going to get a max allowable offer at 1.365 because we're taking consideration rehab costs, right? If we take E11, which is stabilized value of 1.9, B16, which is the 85%, and then we're deducting the total rehab, our max allowable offer for this property, which is our imaginary property right now, we should be offering a max of 1.365. But let's say we don't have to do any repairs. Let's say it's 0. Then it's just the purchase price times the percentage of all in. Okay, then we're ending up at 1.615. Is everybody understanding that? Yes?
Yep,
Okay.
got it.
Awesome. Hi, Jen.
Hey.
I have a question. You put their CapEx 400 per unit. And I think earlier you said something about $7,500 a unit. So I'm trying to figure out the context of that.
How did I get this? Yeah, ignore this. I think I had that formula wrong. So yeah, just ignore it. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, can you share a copy of that sheet, the template?
It's on your chat. It's in the chat room.
I lost the chat when I got off my cell phone when I got here.
Oh, okay.
I'm back on my computer.
Got you. Let me find it.
Thanks, Grenville.
All right.
Cool. So the CapEx budget, you said it's looked at an annual basis. So is that like, that's right? Obviously, you're going to do an value add. That's going to probably be just that first year. So what about after that? The next 2, 3, 4, and 5, 5th year, you're not going to really account, for a full 10,000, right?
Well, that would be just considered expenses, pretty much expenses at that time, just because those are pretty much either deferred to the next buyer, or that's something that you guys are going to be considered on the repair and maintenance expenses for when you do like the valuation.
But you're always going to budget for that every year, basically.
Every month.
Got it. Every month.
It's every month. Yes.
My bad. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
All right. And then let's go over buy box. Does anyone know what a buy box is? The ones that have been here, you don't answer that. But for the new people, you guys all know what a buy box is? Okay. If you don't.
Yeah, that box is right there to the right.
Wait, go again? You got cut off.
It's right there, the class B, C, 10 to 60 units, Texas.
Yep.
That would be your buy box.
Yep. So Ruben pointed out right here, this is a typical buy box. Okay. You always want to create one for yourself, right? Buy boxes are very important when talking to a wholesaler, talking to a broker, because you're basically creating your criteria and what you're looking for as an investor. Okay. Or if you're going out there wholesaling for an investor, this is what you're going to ask them for, right? You're going to ask them for what type of class, right? The type of class, how many units, okay, market, submarket, price range, if they want value add, or if they prefer stabilized, which means turnkey. And then if they have a cap rate going in, like, do they prefer, what type of cap rate going in do they have? They don't necessarily, sometimes it doesn't really matter in cap rates. Some investors don't really care. But that's just something to keep in mind as an option. And then sometimes they'll give you, obviously what state is, you always want to keep these two things in mind. These are the two that I always tell my investors is target states that are landlord friendly, which is red states, right? The Texas, the Georgia, Tennessee, Carolinas, Florida, right? Reason why is because you want to be able to evict tenants if they're not paying, if they're behind on payments. That's something that you're going to have to consider, because those are income that's being taken out of your pocket, but also income that you can't account for if you plan to resell the property for a higher value, right? Multifamily is very attractive because it's determined based on your income, right? As I showed you before, if you take your net operating income and divide it by a cap rate, that's how you get a stabilized value of the property. So landlord-friendly states is something I always mention to them. Those are 5 most popular states to go into. And then also states that have no regulations on rental income, like rental bumps, meaning if you acquire a property under market rent at, let's say, $500 because the seller hasn't raised their rents in years, you want to be able to acquire that property and be able to raise it up, right? And you want to be able to raise it up by 100% if possible, right? From if market rents are $1,000, but you acquired it and they're all paying $500, now you have 100% of increase in your property. So what does that mean? If the property is being sold for $1 million at $500 a rent per unit, and you're able to justify the rent by doing some type of value add, increase it to $1,000 for market rent, now your property went from $1 million to $2 million, right? So you want to be able to find states that don't give you that kind of regulations, like California, New York. Those two states are the worst for multifamily investors because they're about a 1% in New York to increase per year. So why would you as an investor invest in a city or a state that doesn't allow you to increase rents by a significant amount? And, you know, obviously it has to be within means of that radius or whatever your other competitors are raising rents to. But there's deals out there like that. And California and New York are one of those two states. So just those are the things to keep in mind. Make sure you guys have a buy box. Okay. So that's it for the reverse valuation. So anytime you get a deal, you always want to be able to sift through those deals really quick. One of the mistakes I've made when I first started underwriting is I'd spend an hour, hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours going over a deal, and the deal didn't even make sense, right? So this will save you a lot of that time. All you got to do is remember to plug it into here, and it'll spit out the formulas and the calculations for you. But if you're not in front of the computer, you don't have access to it, you want to be able to remember some formulas. And right here on the bottom right, there's a formula cheat sheet tab. And these are the formulas on how to get about it, right? So you can memorize these three right here, the following: how to get a purchase price. You take your NOI, you divide it by a cap rate, that equals your purchase price, right? Just change it here in the blue, but you can do it on a piece of paper or your calculator. Okay, but just remember this exact formula: NOI divided by cap rate equals purchase price. You want to find out the NOI, purchase price multiplied by cap rate equals your net operating income. And then you want to find out a cap rate, your NOI divided by purchase price equals cap rate. Okay, those are the three back of the napkin cheat sheet that you guys should remember every single time you do a deal. And you can find the value real quick. Okay, if you want to find out, this is a good one too, forced appreciation. Okay, remember what I was giving you guys an example: market rent's at $1,000, current rent $500, right? That's a $500 average increase of upside for those 25 units. Okay, you take 95% occupancy rate at 95%, because you never want to underwrite at 100. You take 12 months because there's 12 months in a year. You take your market cap rate for whatever that submarket is, because they're all different. They're not all the same. You got to go and do research, call brokers, call property management companies, and find out what the cap rate is for that specific submarket that you're dealing with, because they're different. Now you've added 1.9 million in added value from just increasing it at $500. Right? What if we just wanted to raise it 100 and the current rents are at 900? Just by raising it $100 on a 25 unit at a 7.5 cap, you're raising the value you're adding value by 380,000 for just raising it $100 in rent. So this is like a really cool formula to remember as well. And all it is you take your average rents of upside, you multiply it by the number of units, multiply it by the occupancy rate, not vacancy, it's occupancy rate. Multiply it by 12 months, right? Whatever you get there, you divide it by the cap rate, and then you get a forced appreciation value. Okay. So that's a really cool one to remember. But if you guys have access, just jump into this formula cheat sheet and it'll do it for you. All right. Any questions so far?
Hey, Stan, can you repeat what you were saying about the cap rates in the very, very beginning? Like class A, class B, class C is whatever numbers, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much class A's are properties that all private institutions, hedge funds go for. You as an investor typically won't go for the class A's because more than likely you won't win with the offer, right? Because they're putting large money down for those and bigger deals. So class A is typically about 4 to about 5.5 cap. Sometimes you'll see like 3s, but those are not our focus. That's just the type of market cap rate that those are pretty much trading for. For a class B, you're gonna see them anywhere between like a 5.5 to about 6.5, if you're lucky. There you go, Renville put it in the side chat. And class C is about 6.5, 7.5 plus. The higher the cap rate, the higher the risk. The lower the cap rate, the lower the risk, right? So that's kind of how it's really determined. So it doesn't necessarily mean that buying a property at a higher cap rate is a good deal per se, because it could be at a higher risk depending on other factors, right? And there's a lot of factors that kind of go into the cap rates, but if you want to really dive more into it, YouTube University is my best friend whenever I have questions like that, right? Be resourceful. If you can't find answers, and you can find some really good people on YouTube to answer those questions. That's where I've really learned. I'm more self-taught than, doing this spreadsheet stuff, but I learned through a lot of people through watching videos. It took me a long time to kind of get to where I'm at, where I'm comfortable and teaching what I've learned and doing this every Friday, thanks to Carlos. But it took me a while to really understand and grasp like the terminologies, how to go about putting formulas together. Okay. If you guys really want to go in deep dive, if you want to be a good underwriter, and you don't have to know everything, but if you want to understand on how to find a good deal, look this guy up. His name is Justin Kivel. Break Into CRE is his YouTube channel. Okay. Look him up. He's really amazing. That's where actually this spreadsheet pretty much came from that he's built. I've added my bells and whistles to it just to kind of give extra stuff. But he's been one of my mentors. I took his course. I'm still going through his course, but it's really helped me kind of refine my skills on understanding how to go about finding a good deal. Okay. All right. So let's say you find a deal, you've done your underwriting, you got it under contract, right? You made an offer, you got it under contract, and now you're going through due diligence. Phase 2, step 2, right here, right? I'm gonna put step 2 right here. Step 2 is when you want to go a little bit deeper on your analysis, right? Does it really make sense for you as the investor to purchase the property? Do you guys see this blue mark right here, this blue streak? Or is it just me?
Yeah, I think I might have did that. I was trying to erase it. I hope it wasn't me, but I didn't see it. I was like, I wonder if they see that.
I was like, where did that come from?
I don't know how to, I try to press erase, so I don't even know. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I think it might be annotate. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Figured it out. Like, learned something new. Okay. All right. So if you guys are focusing right here to the left, these are your deal metrics, and on column A and B, the most important things to look for and plug into, right? When you start off, you want to start off with what the purchase price is. What are they trying to sell the property for? I'm going to just use this as an example because it's already in here. I don't know what deal I was underwriting, but it's already on. So let's just go with it. All right. So this property is worth 2.5 million. I don't have a reference for which property this is. So I'm just going to wing it. All right. So at 25 units, it's $100,000 per unit. Okay. Closing costs. Everything has a closing cost. 1.5% is kind of average, right? 1.5 to 2%. We got 25 units. Okay, it's pulling the information right here on the unit mixes. All right, this formula spreadsheet is very advanced. So all you gotta do is scroll over to the other side and you'll get other other options to put into. Okay, I didn't put any rentable square feet, or did I? Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, and so based on the operating expenses on this particular property, we're going in at a 6.74. All right. Other income, like I mentioned, those are things like parking, late fees, pet rent, or garage income. These can all be changed depending on what you're analyzing. So if you want to go ahead and put those in, then you can change it. Okay, so right now it's 126 per unit per month. Okay, it's not per year, it's per month. All right, annual expense growth is about 2%. Capital budget, same thing as CapEx. We're accounting for $250,000. Okay, when does the renovation start? Right, most spreadsheets won't even account for this, but this does. Right, this has a very, very complicated formula that accounts for renovation costs. So when does it start? We're assuming it's year one. For 25 units, you should be able to complete that within year one. But let's say it's going to take you 2 years, right? I'm going to select 2 years. Right here on column F and G 24, right? It took 250 and split it by 2 because we did 2 years to complete. If we do 3, then it splits it 3 ways. Okay. But let's just reset that back to 1. All right, capital reserves right here. You see this menu popping up. You're gonna see a little tiny orange triangle right here in the corner. That's because I have it as a comment. You should be able to have that too. But if you go to file, make a copy, and if you don't have it, it's because you didn't check this part off where it says copy comments. Okay. But if you did, this is what's gonna come up. Right? Capital reserves per unit per year, you're going to budget about $300 to $500 per unit. Okay, that's pretty average, right? So you can change it right here, 4%, 5%, 3 to 5% is pretty much average. Okay. And then capital reserves growth per year, 3% is also pretty average. At least when we underwrite it, it's about 3%. Okay. Financing, go ahead.
For the renovation year, begin and complete, that would be based on the lease end date, correct?
No, that would be based off of what your GC team estimates for, right?
Okay.
Usually at about through 25 units, 1 year is going to take. I mean, if you're going past like 50, 60 plus, depending on how big your GC team is, it can take a little bit longer. Okay. So that's kind of like where you reference that completion for. Okay. Financing information. This is when you're ready to acquire the deal. You already got your lenders in place. They're going to tell you what they're going to be willing to lend you on, right? But right now, assuming these are pretty much the rates, 65% LTV. Okay. Sometimes you can do interest only, depending if you're doing some type of creative finance, or if the lender is willing to give you interest only, you can change that. I added that as an option. And if you do interest only, principal payments right here all get removed. Okay. So 65% LTV. All right, it's calculating it for you. For that $2.5 million, your loan amount is going to be 1.625. A down payment of 35%. It's going to give you $875,000. Loan origination fee, 1% is pretty standard, unless you're getting, you're not getting a really good deal from your lender. And that means you probably haven't created a good relationship with them, or you have just started making a relationship with them. They usually give you about a 1%. If not, then it's about 1.5%, 2%, depending on who they are. Okay. Interest rate, borrow, average, like I said, I always underwrite very conservatively. So if rates are at 7, I stay 7.5. If it's at 6, I put 6.5. I was just talking to one of my buddies who's like a pretty big multifamily broker out here. And he has built a relationship with one of his commercial lenders, giving him a 5.18% interest only for a few years. I'm like, damn, 5.18. That's a really, really good relationship and hard to come by. So build relationships with other commercial lenders. Keep as much as possible in your books, right? Because you never know. All of them have different terms. All of them have different amortization rates and terms for their years, right? Even the loan origination fee is different. So build those relationships, and you have to build that over time. Commercial real estate is all about relationships. Multifamily is all about relationships, right? And that's what I love about multifamily, because it's not like single family where a lot of the investors kind of compete against each other. right? Sub 2, we're taught, you know, you want to collaborate, right? It takes a team to be successful in real estate. That's what I've noticed. I've networked so much in the last year. I've just been planting seeds, and now I'm getting a lot more deal flow because I've created so much relationships over the last few months. But I had to go out there and go to these networking events. I just went to one last night. I'm going to one tomorrow. I go to at least 2 to 3 a week. And it sounds like a lot, which it is, but if you want to be successful in real estate, especially commercial, you have to do the things that most people don't want to do, right? So you got to build those relationships, even on Facebook, like coming to these Friday classes, or, you know, Carlos's Powerhouse from Monday through Thursday, network in the side chat. That's the reason why the side chat exists, right? If you guys are in the same city, same state, you know, just message somebody. But that's what it is. Network with the people. Relationships are very important. All right. And going back to amortization, it's pretty standard for a commercial lender to go 25 years at first. Once you start building relationships, it can go to 30. But right now in commercial, it's pretty standard at 25. It's not like residential where it's 30 years at the start, or banks loan at 30 years. It's not. Something I would recommend, if you guys read books, like kind of going a little bit off, but I didn't mention this at the last underwriting class, but get books to help you understand the multifamily space. The 2 books I could recommend is Multifamily Millionaire, Volume 2. This is for units 5 and up. Remember, residential is 2 units, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. That's still within the residential space. Okay, that's volume 1. But if you're going for the big boy stuff, go to volume 2, and that's 5 units and above. That's when you start getting into the commercial lending, is 5 units and above. So those are the books that's the book I would recommend right here. Multifamily Millionaire, Brian Murray, Brandon Turner. Bigger Pockets, great books. Audible, if you don't like to read. But I would get the physical book because there's like graphs and lease terms in there that you can look at as reference. Okay. And then right here, sales information, exit cap rate. Remember, when you're analyzing and underwriting a deal, you always want to take in consideration what's the next buyer going to be buying your property at. If our going in cap rate is at 6.4, I'm planning on reselling it in the next 5 years at 7.5%. That's what I'm putting. Okay. Cost of sale. That's if you're having a broker represent you at the end. If you decide that you're going to be selling it with a broker, right? They have to get paid. Remember, it's not easy to market a deal. If you plan on doing it yourself, remember, you got to do paperwork. If you don't want to do paperwork, hire a broker. They'll do all that hard work for you. So cost of sale, 5%, because let's say they got to split, right? They got to split that commission. So I'm taking consideration 5%. And then year sale. Most investors are buy and hold investors in the multifamily space. They sell between 5 years and 10 years, right? You'll probably hear some investors doing some kind of infinite banking where they cash out and refi their investors out by year 2 or 3, as long as the rates are reasonable, and then cash them out, but then keep them in the deal. That's a way that infinite banking strategies kind of happen in that multifamily space. But then they exit the property on year 5. Okay, so you always want to keep that in mind. Now, also you want to, this is something that I want to add, and I didn't tell you guys, is a return metric, right? Return metrics is meaning, what are you trying to target? You want to add a return metric to your buy box. Okay, there's 3 important ones that most brokers will kind of, some of them will ask you, some of them won't, but levered IRR. IRR stands for internal rate of return. And what does internal rate of return mean? It's just basically the time value of money of you holding that deal, right? So if I double click this, the time value of money, IRR right here, levered net cash flow on column E, to J, it's taking the loan payoff, right? The cash flows after the loan proceeds is taken out. It's taken out year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's averaging at a 1.36% just on this specific deal. But my target I want to go for is 14%. So this is way off, right? Another one that you want to understand is equity multiple. Equity multiple means how much of that money that you initially invested that you want to get back on a return. So if I put $100,000, I want to make 2 times that. That's what equity multiple is. And then you got cash and cash return, right? Cash and cash return is basically more often than not is basically what your money invested divided by your purchase price. That's what you're going to get on year 1. Okay. But this is pulling data down here on this particular section. It's taking the average of the 5 years. Okay. And my target is at least a minimum of 10%. So if you hit these targets, this specific box will turn a certain color. I have what's considered a conditional formatting in here, where if it hits 14%, if it hits 2 times multiple, if it hits 10% on any of them, it will turn a certain color. So how do we do that? This specific deal, if I want to hit those targets, I just have to play with the purchase price. It's what we consider as manipulating the numbers or flexing the numbers, right? So if I want to, I'm going to have some group participation here. All right, so we're at 2.5 for 25 units. Someone can unmute their mic and take a guess. Where do you want to be at to hit 14% levered IRR? Not all at once, guys. Who wants to volunteer?
2 million.
All right, there we go. Thanks, Roger. So $2 million. Let's see what we get. Boom. It turned a color, but that color, I'm going to show you guys something. Okay, now we're at 13%. That color, if you go down a little bit, is referencing the IRR for this product. At 13%, it's kind of telling us that this might be a potential class B or B plus or B minus, right? But we're trying to hit 14%. So at $2 million, we're not getting there yet. Okay, so let's try. What's your next number, Roger? What do you want to offer to get that price or to get that target?
1.9.
Okay, let's try 1.9.
It's Dave. I don't know why it says Roger under me. It's got Roger under 3 different people.
Oh, yeah. You gave your link to 3 different people. Is it Dave, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Dave? All right. So Dave said 1.9. Okay. So at 15%, it's still telling us that this is a value add because it didn't hit 16%, right? So good. We're at 15.58. This is only determined based on this IRR, but on the next ones, now we want to understand, we're going to try to do 2%, right? Let's say we do 1.9. Let's just make this easy. 1.9. So if it does hit that target, it'll turn lime green. Okay. That's pretty much how this side works on the target metrics. So if I want to hit a 1.9, obviously we should be at that $1.9 million for that 1.9 equity multiple. Right. But some investors, they're okay. They're content with making a 12% IRR. They're content with making 8% cash on cash. The idea for this is you want to hit at least 2 of 3, right? If I want to do 2 of 3 at 2 times multiple, 12% IRR or 8% cash on cash, I'm going to have to go a little bit lower to hit my targets. So let's go 1.85. There we go. All right. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, are you writing this for you or are you writing this for somebody else? Right. You got to keep in mind, what do they want to target? Right. If cash on cash is more important to them and a 2 times multiple, then try to hit those targets. But that's kind of how you pretty much pull leverages to make sure that one or the other has to work. So how does that happen? What if I want to hit all three, but this is the lowest I can do on price? Maybe I have to save a little bit on repair costs, right? What if I drop down the repair costs to $200,000? What did that do? Oops. Right, from 250. Shit. Okay. So from $250,000 originally, we're at 7.13. But if I do it at $200,000, we're at 7.57. So we're still a little bit of ways on that. So it's really up to you to decide how we're going to get to those targets, right? The lower you go on price, the higher your IRR goes. But then also the chances of you probably winning your offer might be a little bit slim because you have to compete with other buyers in the market. So stick to your numbers. That's the best thing I can tell you is whenever you underwrite for somebody or yourself, stick to the numbers that you want. If it's not the deal based on what you want to give it, don't force it. That's how some people get burned. That's how we got burned doing a single family home. This is before I started really understanding how to underwrite deals. We were just pushing it during the summertime. And obviously everybody last summer was going in hot, right? We didn't care about return on investment being at 5%, right? We're like, yeah, we're betting on appreciation. Can't do that right now. You bet on appreciation, you're gonna get burned. And in multifamily, that's the best thing about it. And any investment is you gotta know your numbers before you buy a property, right? That's the golden rule. Make sure you know your numbers before you enter and make an offer, because you can always do your due diligence after and adjust it. But in phase two, you want to get as close as possible to those targets. Okay. So let's go 0%. Let's say we don't even do any capital budget for that. Look how high cash and cash went on, 10.89. But we also bumped up the equity multiple. Now we're at 24% IRR, which is kind of ridiculous. So from 2.5, right? Let's say it's 2.5 million again. We don't do any reservations going in. We just, we want to be a little bit of a, I don't want to say slumlord, but let's say we buy a property. We don't decide we're going to do any repairs at all. We're just acquiring it, holding it for appreciation, right? We're going in now at 6.74 like originally, but we want to hit at least like one of our cash and cash returns. So let's go for a 2.2 million. There we go. We got one at 14 at the IRR, but we want to hit at 8%. Let's go 2 million. Okay, so at 2 million, we're at 8%, but we're at 8.91. If we want to be a little bit more conservative so we can win the deal and we want to get close to that 8%, let's go with 2.1. Let's see what happens.
So Stan, on the calculation to get the leveled IRR, I pulled up an IRR calculator online. The 2.1 million, when you're getting that number, what line items exactly? Is it all the blue ones? Like what, yeah, look at okay, I didn't see that. Okay, so E37 to P37. I don't have it pulled up, so okay. Yeah. Okay, cool, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so at 2.1, we're not hitting that 8%, right? 2.1. So that means that we have to be a little bit under that. So so we're going to try to get this as close as possible. So we're at that 8%. Oh, am I going down? 19.9. 1.99. Okay, we went higher. All right, so 50,000. So we're at 8.3. Am I supposed to? Okay, we're going lower. So we're gonna go, let's see. So this is how you do it. You just gotta play with the numbers, see how much more you gotta get to is 8% right there. We're pretty much there, right? At $2,075,000, we're at almost 8%. I mean, I can really push it and get really exact if I wanted to. Right there, 2.7. Let's say 2.75. There we go. It's not highlighting yellow because it's probably it's probably just estimating it. If I really move this over, it's 2.996. That's why it's not turning. But that's really how you do it. You just got to manipulate the purchase price a little bit, play with the capital budget. And now we're pretty much hitting it. There's 3. No, see, let's just do it like this. All right, there we go. They're all highlighted now, right? So if we hit all 3, then that means to us that this would be a deal that I would take down because it hits all of my targets. Offer, this is my best offer, $2,077,000 for this particular property. Okay. Now to the right, this is also very important, right? Your unit mixes, how much are you getting monthly for it? You can do the in place, but you also do what's the market rent. So you change it right here. Physical vacancy, market growth. I usually just keep these pretty standard, but if you want to kind of go a little bit more in place, then you can always change that. Let's say if it's 90% occupied, then you put 10% vacancy, right? And so forth. And then right here, you're going to have on the operating expenses, you're going to have comments on certain ones of these as well. Okay, so just keep those in mind. And then down here, this is more for lenders. If you want to get a little bit more advanced, this is more for the lenders, but it kind of gives you an idea on what type of terms a lender would give you based on the loan constraint, meaning they usually evaluate a deal based off of loan to value, loan to cost, a DSCR, which is a debt service coverage ratio, okay, and debt yield. And how this picks up is based on what the property is, what we gave the inputs are. It's spitting out that based on the loan sizing, out of all these 4, a lender would lend on a loan to cost and the cheapest one out of all these, right? So 1.370 is the loan to cost. Everything else is above that. So it's telling us that a lender would lend on this specific property based off of that loan to cost, if that's an option for them, right? And this is based on their constraints. So you got to find that out from that lender. And based on the return metrics on the GRM, which is the gross rent multiplier, it's going to take about 7.5 years to make your initial investment back based on, what is it, B2 and F12. So B2 based on the purchase price and the gross potential rent. All right, that's just small little things that I just added in there. You don't necessarily have to know that, but that's pretty much how this specific calculator works. There is other advanced calculators in here, which is like the seller finance options. You can play with these if you want. It's already pulling the information from the multifamily valuation on letter C. It pulls all that specific information. And if it is a seller finance, creative finance deal, you can tell it to show you different options based off of the down payment. Do they want a large down payment or do they want a small down payment? And you can kind of give yourself, it's more for you to kind of see what the different options are. Okay, that's what it's made for. But you can play around with this. Yeah, so this one's kind of similar to that multifamily valuation, but this specific tab is very advanced for seller financing hybrid model. All right, you can turn this on and you can turn it off. Okay, but this is if you have a creative finance multifamily deal. The first one is not built for creative finance. This one is. Okay, so you can play with that as well. And this specific tab breakdown is if you have a large multifamily deal that you're looking to underwrite, you can punch in all these numbers here and then put it back towards the multifamily valuation tab. That's just for easier calculation. All right, and then you got your formula cheat sheet like I mentioned. Remember this, but that's pretty much it, guys. That's it for today. Any questions?
Thank you so much. I think Daryl had a question. He said you mentioned some really cool book, not the multifamily millionaire book, but another one. He wanted to get the name. I didn't hear that one. Which one was that? Do you remember?
Which one was it?
He said 2 books, but I think they're just 2 volumes of the same book.
Yes, 2 volumes. Yes, volume 1 and volume 2. That's the only 2 books that I mentioned.
Perfect. And then you got Yin here in the chat. She asked about getting the recording of this. I did tell her she can go to Powerhouse YouTube channel, Carlos's YouTube, and catch some of the old recordings too that have pretty much the same information. But will this one also be added to that channel, or are you just taking select ones now and putting them up?
No, every single Friday, it's always recorded. Carlos uploads it. I'm starting to get the copies of it because I opened up my YouTube channel as well. So I'll start promoting that. If you guys don't follow me on social media, I'm on TikTok and on Instagram. So if you guys want to follow me, it's the same handle at Stan Lopez. The Lopez has a 0 in it. So if you guys want to go and follow me, and I keep you guys up to date on those type of content. So I'm going to start promoting my social media just because Carlos got me into it as well. But this is all recorded. What's that?
What's your YouTube?
YouTube is the same. It's just at Stan Lopez. Let me find out. Give me a second. See, you guys are gonna see. Anyways. Yeah, at Stan Lopez.
Boom, there you go. Promote your channel. Let's go.
I just started doing short form content. So I just started putting it out there. But I literally just started this a week ago. Go ahead and follow me, send me a follow. I really appreciate it. And next week, I know we don't have a lot of time. I kind of went over that real quick. Let's see, we still got a little bit of time. Let me see if I can underwrite this one real quick. RSW Alliance, who's that?
That's me.
Renville?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go over this real quick since he did send it earlier. Let's see, it's a Class C. This is a Class C, 27 units. Market rent's 1,000. 88% occupancy. So we can put this 88% occupancy. This is what's going to kind of give us expense ratios at 60. Market cap rate 7. 102. Okay, it's kind of close. So it's telling me right here that their NOI is about 102,643. I'm getting 114 right now, just based off of this. We're not doing any CapEx. DS0139. Okay. So quick underwriting, right? This is based on the as-is value. Their asking price is 1.590. All right. So you guys can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 1.590 is what they're asking. It's going to be at 58,000, almost 59,000 per unit. The potential upside is mentioning is about 407,000. Okay, the market cap rate. So with that being said, our stabilized value after all is said and done should be at 1.629. All right. Now they're asking 1.590, but this is current rents are at 900. So let's do 900. So based on 900, their property should be worth only 1.466. So we are at $123,000 difference from what they're asking based on what it's worth as is, right? But let's say this is going to be as is, and then this is ARV. Let's just say ARV. But let's put into consideration what we said earlier, right? We're going to do 5% for vacancy. Their market cap rate or their future pro forma is $1,000, so it's $100 difference. But let's do a 50% expense ratio. You see how significant the numbers look like now? Yeah. All right, so if we take this, and then we minus what they're asking for. The upside technically could be a potential 608,000 based off of this vacancy, 5%, because they're accounting for 12% right now in vacancy. Right?
Yeah.
So is this worth it? Potentially. Depends. This is in our Orland, Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. So now it's just like, okay, do we want to underwrite this a little bit deeper? So that's kind of like how you ask yourself, like, is it worth it? Right? Interest only 6-7%. Let's put this in, since we already know, right? They're asking 1.590. 970. Okay, here's where the rent breakdown happens. So it's saying studios 0, 1 bedroom. Just saying 1 bedroom right now. This is 16. I'm assuming this is 1 bedroom, 2 bath. And we got 6 for 2 beds. One for a 2 bedroom, 2 VR, 1 VA. And then we got 2, 3 bedroom, 1 VA. So I'm literally walking you guys through a process of how I go about doing this. It doesn't give us any square footage, but we're at 27 units. And let's see, this is 16, so 728, 56.
Oh, I think that should be, yeah.
Yeah, I caught that. And then this is supposed to be 833.33, 5,000. And then this one's supposed to be 950. Okay. So average rents, is that right? Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3.
I think the 1100 has to come out. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Now it all is aligned. So what is the market? Do you know what the market rents are for this one?
Let me go back and look real quick. So for the 1 unit, they have it as 700. The
This
2
is at
unit
700?
900.
2 unit 900?
Yeah. And the 3 unit is 11.
Okay, we're still a little bit off because what is the market rents for this one, the 16?
Yeah, that's 900.
This is also 900?
Yeah.
And then what about this one, the 6 unit? 700?
Yeah.
It can't be, well, you said that this is 833, so I'm assuming this should be a little bit higher, right?
Let me go back to the PDF. The 2 bedroom is 2 bedroom is 900.
You want to say 900?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we got 687 and we have 907, right?
Okay.
So
the 1 bedroom was 700. 2 bedroom is 900. So the first 2 is 7.
Like this?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second 2 is 900. Yeah.
Okay. So now we have 687 in place, and then we have an average of 781. So 687. Oops, let's just keep this in mind. 687. So it's only a $94 Yep, 687, 781. So it's only $94 of upside, 27 units. Let's say 95% occupancy at 7%. So this property does have an upside of potentially, it's pretty close. It's saying up here on your guys' sheet it's 407, but it's telling me 413. So that's pretty close. So this is kind of like how I do my over the shoulder. And then if I really want to dig more into it, which we don't really need to right now, let's just push this in and let's just get an average of 687 first. So let's go 687. I'm just going to batch it. Okay. It's 27 units at 687. Let's do it like this. Okay. So 27 units, 687. And then we're going to deduct 5%, 5.71% from here. So let's just say it's, there we go. So 4.29. There we go. So I'm just making a 50% expense ratio, assuming that everything else is the same. All right. So we got 65% loan to value, 7% on interest rates, appreciation of 3%, which is correct. What is, okay, principal only, interest only payments. So is that 8.5% total is what it's telling us? Brinville?
Hold on, I'll go back to the email.
On the loan details, it's saying interest only 7%, and then you have principal only at 1.5. So are you guys getting a total of 8.5% for your lender?
Yeah, that was based on, it starts off interest only and then it has a principal after a certain amount of years.
Okay, so let's just make it easy. Let's just say it's 7. Okay. And is this for you or for somebody else?
Me.
For you. Okay, so when do you plan on exiting?
Can say 7 years.
Okay, so let's say 7 years. Okay. So based on 7 years, their asking price is at 1.590. In place rents, okay, there, and then they have a physical vacancy of 12%. Remember? Because their occupancy is only at 8. Okay. So now this all changes as well, right? It added another 2 and at 2.80. So let's drop it down a little bit more. Let's say it's a 2. I'm just trying to make sure that this is close to 50, which is why I'm kind of going down on it. So this is 1.49. Okay. So we're just paying attention to this right now, the actual versus the target, right? What are you trying to target? Do you have a specific target for your IRR?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. So let's use what I usually use, which is 15, 2, and 10. 15, 2, and 10 at 1.59%. You're going in cap rates at 8%, which is great. Okay. Based on the loan terms that you're getting, this is pretty standard. And then for a 7-year hold plus, let's see, what else is there anything else missing that I'm missing? All right, there we go. This is a good deal.
Cool.
Right?
Thank you.
We're hitting all our targets, 15, 2, and 10. You're getting almost a 12% cash and cash return on this is, remember, this is as is, right? As is, you're going to get this without doing any renovations. Are you planning on doing any renovations?
Yeah, I am.
Do you know how much?
Not as yet. Once I put a LOI in and get the due diligence started, I can get someone in to give a quote for that.
Okay. So you got a deal, bro.
Cool, thanks.
And this, you can literally buy this as is without having to do any repairs. And based on the as is numbers, right, at 50% expense ratio, you got a deal.
Cool, thanks. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what it can be, because you said pro forma rents is at 1,000. Market, well, hold on. This is kind of off a little bit. Give me a second. Average rents is 900. Market rents are at 1,000. Your average for this is 687. Okay. So let's say by year 2, you're going to get everything renovated, right? And we're going to have that 5%. And then also we're going to increase the rents to $1,000 for market rent. So we're going to increase it by $370 something. Okay. At year 7, when you decide to exit, your property value went up to $4 million. If you're renting it out at $1,000 per unit and you bought it at 1.59. Look how crazy that cash and cash return is if you don't put a single dollar in renovation, right? So your valuation does matter by your net operating income. But remember, by increasing it at $1,000, your expense ratio went down because I didn't change anything else.
Okay.
So we were at 687. So at 687, at year 7, if you don't bump up the rents, your property value still would be just at 2.5 versus 4.075 million. Okay. Make that offer.
Thank you. I am.
All right. Cool.
Thank you. I
Anybody
appreciate
else?
it.
You're welcome. See how fast that was? As long as once you start getting used to it, it's the same thing. Just plug in the numbers and you'll get that rhythm. Don't feel overwhelmed. It does take a while, but as you practice and just keep punching the numbers, keep practicing on that spreadsheet, you'll eventually get it. All right, but you got to still write deals you got to try to write deals every single day just for practice. Go to Crexy, go to LoopNet, just find random deals on there that provide spreadsheets or provide T12s and your rent rolls. You're going to get good over time. Just keep coming back here every Friday. If you have a deal, bring a deal next week and have something ready. Use the spreadsheet and show it to us so we can analyze it. Thanks, Renville. Appreciate you sending that over. So now you guys actually got the full gist of how to run the spreadsheet by looking at obviously I have the numbers, but you guys got to see kind of how it goes and how my brain works and plugging those numbers in. All right, hope that helps. Any last minute questions before we bounce? Herbert, yes, you can input the data in the spreadsheet on your phone. As long as you have the Google Sheets app, you can definitely use it on your phone. But I would do it on a computer.
Are you getting operating assumptions from like the OM or like the brochure information, or are you just kind of ballparking that?
Well, I was ballparking it at 50%.
Okay, yeah, because I'm looking at the spreadsheet and trying to underwrite my deal, and I just didn't know what to put there, I guess, because I wasn't provided anything as far as.
So if you're not provided anything, assume it's 50%.
Of operating assumptions, 50%. It says annual expense growth, and then there's other income per unit a month. Where would I guess I would put that.
The average for income growth. Income growth is like 3%. If expense growth is at 2%.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. That's it. Appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stan. That was dope, bro. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for you to share.
Thank you, Stan. Appreciate it, man.
For you to share a tool like that, it's pretty amazing. So thank you.
Stan, thank you, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys. All right. We'll see you guys next week. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
17.
I will.
Wow.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.